Welcome to the Lady Up America podcast. I'm Diane Canada, your host, and I'm so glad you're here today. Thanks for tuning in. Ladies, I know a lot of you are discouraged and overwhelmed by the news headlines these days. I want to introduce you today to my Senator, Marsha Blackburn, here of Tennessee. I have had many opportunities to be in a room with Senator Blackburn to hear her speak. I trust her. I know she's going to tell us the truth. This is someone with high integrity, and she's a strong Christian woman. We're going to try and cover quite a bit of ground with her today. So settle in, lean in for this conversation, and I hope it's going to fill in a lot of blanks for you and motivate you to vote, I hope. So we'll be right back with Senator Marsha Blackburn.
Lady up around this town. Lady up around this town. Victory on the battleground. We claim it now. Lady up, lady up. Lady up, lady up.
All right, so help me welcome to the show our Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. Hi, Senator. How are you?
I am doing well, and I hope that you are also.
Doing great. Thank you so much. I know you're so busy. Thanks for taking some time.
Sure.
So, Senator, I want to tackle a few things with you today that are on the minds of these suburban moms. A lot of the moms are telling me they're not watching the news anymore. They don't know who to trust. So I think with you being able to talk directly, you're in the heart of it up there. There are three things that are on people's minds that I know you're very vigilant about right now. One is the border crisis and a lot of the fentanyl that's coming across. So if we could park there for just a second, but I also want to talk about the assassination attempts on Trump and then also the women in sports. These are the things that are top of mind. So with the fentanyl crisis, something that I think would be really helpful for moms to understand is how is this getting across the border? And they're hearing stories, friends of theirs, maybe neighbors of theirs that are being affected by this. What is going on with all this?
Yes, and I think every single one of us has friend, family, somebody that we know from church or from activities that has a child who has been adversely impacted by fentanyl, by human trafficking, by sex trafficking, these sextortion schemes that have taken place. And it all revolves around that open border. Indeed, law enforcement officers tell me they can't do their job and stop all this crime and the drugs and the human trafficking until that southern border is secured. What has happened is this. The Chinese Communist Party has been an active participant in this, and that's part of our frustration because they have the active pharmaceutical ingredients. They're called APIs. Those are shipped into Mexico. The cartels have built all of these plants that manufacture fentanyl laced products, or even pure fentanyl, or even candy that is made to look like gummy bears, or other candy that kids have, and it's all dusted with fentanyl. Now, the way it ends up coming into the country is your Chinese active pharmaceutical ingredients and your Chinese chemist. They're the ones making it. They make these pills look like a Xanax or look like a Percocet, so people think they have something that's legitimate. They've bought it off the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But it is fentanyl. And this is why you have kids that will get one of these and it will end up taking their life. They're poisoned by the fentanyl. The way it ends up in your community is the cartels bring it into the country and they're bringing it over that open southern border.
Mm-hmm.
So China with the active pharmaceutical ingredients, and then the Chinese chemists that are working in these plants that have been built by the cartels, then the cartels do use the drug dealers and the drug mules to bring it across the southern border. What they will do is send a group that has children in it one direction, so Border Patrol has to go look after those family units. And then they run the drug smugglers another direction so that they don't get caught. Now,
Mhm.
one of the things that is so interesting over the last nearly 3 years, the cartels have become so incredibly brazen. They have set up drug running operations in the US. The cartels actually have hubs, and you talk to a law enforcement officer, they can tell you where the drugs are coming out of that are on their streets. It may be Detroit, it may be Memphis, it may be Atlanta. They will tell you where the drug hubs are. And what they're pardon me, what they're trying to do is apprehend and get locked up these people that are running these drugs. Now, what we also know is a lot of these kids, their first introduction to a drug dealer takes place online. It may be through some of these game platforms, or it could be off of Snapchat
Mhm.
or Instagram, one of these social media platforms that kids are getting on. And that's where they're meeting the drug dealers and the pedophiles and the sex traffickers.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
A lot of moms that listen to this show maybe have never they're not accustomed to voting, and a lot of them are
Mhm.
discouraged around everything that's going on, and we have to under Trump's administration, that border was all but closed. We had so little of this
Right,
coming across. So this
right.
administration, I mean, it's been just open season on America through this
That's right.
administration. Yeah. So we need to get that everybody has to vote. We have to vote. um,
Yes, you're right about that. And what has happened with this administration is they have 10.5 million people that have come across that southern border.
oh my
And
god.
then who knows how much larger the number is because of the gotaways.
Yeah.
And they refer to the gotaways, they can see them on camera, or either the next day when they're out doing patrol, they find where a group has come across and they've dropped the carpet shoes and the IDs and all of that. So you've got two categories of gotaways, known gotaways and unknown
Okay.
gotaways. So
Wow.
you put that with the 10.5 million people, that is more people that is in about 35 of our states.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
then within this group, we know that there are 382 known terrorists
Mm.
that have come in, 99 this year. Under President Trump's administration, we had, I think it was a total of 11 terrorists that
Wow.
tried to enter the country. But see, they know they can go around the Border Patrol because the border has been so overrun.
Yeah.
We also were hearing so much about the violent gangs, MS-13 and
Mhm.
TDA, Trandiagra,
Mhm.
which has come out of Venezuela. People say, how could these get into the country? And the way it has happened is Venezuela and Cuba and some of these countries have basically emptied their jails
Mhm.
and they have sent those individuals here. So they're carrying out their crimes here. And the robberies that are up, the violent crime numbers that are up, and this administration has falsely claimed, well, immigration numbers are down, but they're not. What has
Mhm.
happened is for some of these countries, they have actually taken planes into the country, loaded it with people that want to come here, and then have flown them in. They're
Mm.
not applying for visas. They are not coming through ports of entry. They're being flown in. So those don't get counted.
Yeah.
They also, in their effort to make illegal immigration legal, they established an app called CBP1. And CBP1, if you go on that app and you say, hey, we're coming, we're going to illegally cross into the country, and you register your information on that app, then they do not count you as being in the country illegally.
Wow.
Now, there's a category called parole status, and this is how many of the Venezuelan gang members have got in the country. Indeed, we found out, the man that allegedly killed Laken Riley had been granted parole. What
Mm,
happens is with these refugees, with this parole status, with this illegal entry, these individuals are given benefits, they're given plane tickets, they're given food, they're given clothing, they're given phones. These parolees are even given work permits.
mm.
So
Wow.
they are being prioritized over our own citizens.
I don't know how this just is a complete disqualifier for Kamala Harris
Yeah.
to even run for president. Thank you for breaking that down and for explaining that so well. And I guess just to kind of end cap that, if a mom is out there watching this right now and she's wondering what is the point, like what is their end game with letting all these people in, what would be an answer we could give her today?
And I would encourage them, first of all, to realize that one of the things they're doing is trying to bring in voters.
Yeah.
Some of these big blue cities and states have lost population. And what they're trying to do before the midterm census and the 2030 census is to beef back up the population that some of these states, California, Illinois, New York, that have lost hundreds of thousands of residents
Mhm,
because people are fleeing the crime and
mhm,
the high taxes and
mhm.
those elevated inflation rates. And so they're fleeing those areas. So this is a good way to backfill and to
Yeah.
rebuild that and get them counted in the census. It's also what they're doing. You have states like Minnesota that anybody can go get a driver's license.
Mhm,
And so people illegally in the country can get a driver's license. Then they can go to another state like Tennessee, where I'm from, and they can register to vote when
mhm.
they change to a Tennessee driver's license.
Wow. Wow. This is just it's mind-blowing. It's
Yeah,
just
it
mind-blowing.
really is. You're
Oh,
right about that. It is frustrating because we value our citizenship.
mhm.
We hold that dear. We value one person, one vote. And to
Yes.
think that there are people who, for political power and political gain, would discount that.
Yeah.
They would erode the ability to achieve your version of the American dream.
Yes.
They would make decisions that are not good for the country long term. And
Mhm.
I'm one of these. I really want to protect our freedoms.
Mhm.
And I want to my children and grandchildren to
Right.
know what it's like to live in a free country and to have that American dream. And when people are fearful, when they're worried about crime in their communities, when they've seen so much crime rising, when they're witnessing fentanyl being pushed at our children,
Mhm.
they are really very concerned, and I think that's why a lot of women do not watch the news. I hear
Yeah.
it from friends all the time. They
Mhm.
just feel like they can't take listening to it anymore.
Yeah, it's so overwhelming. And as you know, we're both here in Tennessee, and this is another key point for people who are listening who are not in Tennessee all over the country, why it's so important to turn out for your state elections too, because our state legislature, they're putting laws on the books that are protecting Tennesseans in many ways, but it's important. It's just really important who's in charge at your state and your local level too. I know
Right.
we only have a couple more minutes with you. I want to shift if we can, although I could talk about the border with you all day because I think it is the number one topic
Yeah.
that is worrying us moms. But the assassination attempts that are going on with Trump, a lot of moms too are very worried about this. We're all praying for him. We're praying for his family. They've already attempted twice now. We know more attempts are coming. So you had, I know you've been instrumental in trying to get him more protection. Can you speak on that for just a minute?
I can. I have called on Acting Director Rowe at the Secret Service to provide President Trump and Vice President Harris the equivalent amount of protection that is given to President Biden. And when they are out and about, they need to be safe and secure. And people that are coming to meet with them need to know that they are going to be safe.
Mhm.
So, beefing up that protection, I did this because after the second attempt, the sheriff there in Florida in his press conference said, "Look, Donald Trump does not have the amount of protection that he had when he was president. There is a
Mhm.
difference." And I thought, we want to make certain this is done. So I've kind of taken the lead on that and
Great.
think it's important that we make certain that President Trump and his family, Vice President Harris and her family, and the
Mhm.
Biden family are all covered and protected.
Thank you for doing that.
Mhm.
That, hopefully that they will put those protections in place. I know that there have been some congressmen, I believe it is, that are calling for him to be stripped of his Secret Service detail, which I can't even fathom. But we want, and I love the fact that you are asking for equal protection. So it's not just that we're singling out Trump, but that everyone should have that.
That's right.
And then lastly, if we have an extra minute, just to speak
Sure.
on the men and women's sports. And I know this is so upsetting for so many moms. But tell us what the latest is there, what's happening there.
Yes, indeed. We have several bills that would protect girls and girls sports in Title IX, and I've written the NCAA. I had 37 senators join me on that letter and calling on the NCAA to establish a policy, basically an umbrella policy that would cover all women's sports, all Title IX activity, and protect women and keep men out of women's sports. This
Yeah.
is important for our women to be able to compete
Mhm.
and to excel, to have scholarships. I've been disappointed that the NCAA says, well, you've got a tennis and a golf association, and you've got a volleyball, and all these other different groups, and they'll all do it differently. And I think, no, the governing body for collegiate athletics is the NCAA. The
Yeah.
NCAA needs to say, we are going to stand with girls, we're going to protect Title IX, and
Mhm.
we are going to protect our girls, and biological males are not going to be able to compete against biological females.
Yes. And I heard that you had put forward a resolution this week. Can you tell us what happened with that?
Yes, indeed. I have a resolution that would establish an American Girls in Sports Day, and we are setting aside October 10th for that. That's the 10th month, 10th
Mhm.
day, Roman numerals XX, and
Love it.
making a day where we can recognize and honor our female athletes.
Mhm.
And the Democrats, when I offered my resolution on the floor, they actually came to the floor and objected to
What?
having a day. Yes, objected and to having a
Oh,
day set aside to honor female athletes. And
oh my
people
goodness.
can go to my website, blackburn.senate.gov, or follow me on social media at Marsha Blackburn and actually see the whole entire debate.
Wow.
But it was stunning that there are some that are so given to allowing biological males to compete with biological females
Mm.
in the female category
Ugh.
that they actually came to the floor and objected to the resolution.
It's an upside down world we're in. I mean,
Yes.
it is just
Yeah.
upside down. Jesus warned us about this, but I'll tell you, so many women are just they're like I said earlier, their minds are just blown by what's happening. Yeah, I don't think even 5 years ago we would be discussing such things. So, thank you for your hard work up there. Thank you for standing up
Oh,
for Tennessee and for
thank
all of us.
you. Thank you so much.
Really
And I
appreciate it.
appreciate the opportunity and hope I can come back on with you soon.
We'd love to have you. Have a great day.
Thank
Thanks so much.
you.
I really hope this has been helpful for you today. I hope that, like I said earlier, that it has filled in some blanks. Ladies, sitting home this election season is not an option. We have to turn out and vote, and we have to push this evil back. This administration has done more in the last 4 years to turn our great nation into nearly a third world country. We must push it back. And that is not an overstatement. I cannot overstate the importance of us voting. But in addition to voting, I want you to also win other people to the polls. In your friend groups, in your neighborhoods, in your workplaces, you have tremendous influence over the people that you see over and over and over again. You don't need to go up and try to talk to strangers unless that's just your personality, but we need to become great at winning other people to our conservative values. And I have written a book. I talk about this a lot, but Lady Up America, this is a short read. You can get through it in a day, 2 max. And this will give you a really quick ramp up to how to have these really uncomfortable conversations with the people that you already know and love, who are maybe looking at all of this and going, this is not right. They don't maybe follow politics, but they can look at what's happening with this open border and with this inflation and with all the human trafficking that's going on, with all the things we talked about today, these assassination attempts. There's never been a better time to win those independents and those wobbly Democrats to our conservative values than right now. Don't underestimate your ability to influence those people. So I ask you to get this book and get trained up. You can also do it through my virtual book club at ladyupamerica.com. And I will handhold you through each chapter and get you trained up so that you can then approach these conversations in an informed and in a graceful way and gently plant seeds that will win people and get them to question their own beliefs rather than argue with yours. That's the whole goal here at Lady Up America. It is just a graceful approach to winning people to our values. So ladyupamerica.com, get the book. But more than anything, just pinky swear to me today that you will vote. We need your vote. We need a turnout like we've never seen, especially from Christian suburban moms. All right. I hope that we've made impact today. See you at the polls. Lady up.
Lady up around this town. Lady up around